Summary of The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. Introduction. The 48 Laws of Power is first published in 1998. It became a classic and an international bestseller. It literally listed 48 advices on how a person can grow stronger and powerful. For each advice, the author used different stories or different people so that the reader can understand the principle. In this summary, we will learn about first few laws. If the world is like a giant scheming court and we are trapped inside it, there is no use in trying to opt out of the game. We may notice it, but we encounter the struggle of power every day. It may be within our family, our work, or our community. In this world, it is inevitable for us to deal with power. This is why we must choose not to be powerless. It will only make us miserable. In fact, the better you are dealing with power, the better friend, lover, husband, wife, and person you become. Before having power over things or other people, you must first have power over your own emotions. You must learn not to react emotionally on anything that happens to you. Your emotions will only cloud your reasons. You will not think clearly and you will not choose the best decision. It is hard to control emotions, especially love and anger. You should not try to stop feeling them. You should only be careful on how to express your emotions, because your enemies can use them against you. Now that you know the foundation, let's learn about the first law. Law 1. Never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies. For 700 years, after the end of Han Dynasty, China was covered in chaos. There is a constant struggle of power for the throne. Each new emperor was killed off. The army was always having a cope. The fight for power is marked with violence and blood. The generals who killed an empire and replaced him with the strongest among them. To ensure his power, the new emperor would kill all the others. However, in a few years, he would also be killed. Younger generals would plot against him. They would assassinate him and his sons. The pattern continues on and on. Whoever sits in the throne is always in danger. He has enemies everywhere. To be an emperor of China at the time is to be alone with no security and no real power. But the game changed when General Zhao Yuanzhen rose to power in 1959 AD. He became the Emperor Song. He is fully aware of the situation. Emperor Song knows that he could be killed in the next few years. He thought of a way to finally stop the pattern. After being crowned, Emperor Sung invited all the generals of the army. He held a banquet to celebrate his new dynasty. When everyone has drunk too much wine, he ordered them to leave, including all the guards. Only the generals were left in the banquet. They thought that Emperor Sung would have them all killed. Instead, Emperor Sung said, "The whole day is spent in a fear, and I am unhappy, both at the table and in my bed. For which one of you does not dream ascending the throne?" The generals were covered with fear. They claimed innocence and pledged loyalty to the Emperor Sung. But the emperor knew better. Emperor Sung proclaimed, "The best way to pass one's day is in peaceful enjoyment of riches and honor. If you are willing to give up your commands, I am ready to provide you with fine states and beautiful dwellings." The generals were surprised that the emperor offered them wealth and security. They do not have to live in fear. The next morning, every general resigned their posts. They accepted the retirement that Emperor Sung offered. They became nobles and masters of the states that the emperor has given them. In just one move, Emperor Sung got rid of the people that might betray him. When the rebel leaders surrendered, Southern Hen was in rebellion for years. It was led by King Liu. When the rebel leader surrendered, the emperor did not punish him. Instead, Emperor Sung gave King Liu a position in his imperial court. He also invited him to drink wine as a sign of friendship. Inside the palace, Emperor Sung offered King Liu the glass of wine. King Liu hesitated. He is afraid that the wine is poisoned. Your subjects' crimes certainly merit death. But I beg your majesty to spare your subject's life. Indeed, I dare not to drink this wine. The emperor just laughed. He has no plans of poisoning King Liu. Emperor Sung took the wine and drank it himself. Starting from that day, King Liu became loyal to Emperor Sung. The former rebel became the emperor's most trusted friend. It was a smart move for Emperor Sung to offer the generals with grand estates. They stopped being a threat to him. This is smarter than murdering them. Indeed, Emperor Sung was able to stop the violence and civil war in China. The Sung dynasty reigned for 3 centuries. A man suddenly spared the guilty is a grateful man indeed, and will go to the ends of the earth for the man who has pardoned him. When you turn your enemies into friends, they become your most faithful ally. They are more reliable than the friends who surround you. Friends agree with you to avoid conflict. They hide qualities that might offend you. You might not really know them well. They may be envious. When conflicts arise, your friendship may fade. Your enemies, on the other hand, are an untapped gold mine that you must learn to have exploit. Law 2. Conceal your intentions. There was a courtesan in 17th century France by the name of Ninon de L'Enclos. Many great men, politicians, thinkers, and writers had fallen in love with her. She became experienced in art of love. Ninon understood that seduction is a game. It is a skill that could be practiced. Over the years, her reputation became known. The rich families of France would make their sons come to her. She would instruct them in matter of the heart. Marquis de Savange was one of them. The Marquis was only 22 years old. He was rich and handsome, but he has no experience in love. At the time, Ninon was already 62 and very famous. She listened to the story to Marquis. There was a young and beautiful countess to whom he had fallen in love with, but he was hopeless in pursuing her. He did many mistakes in trying to court her. First of all, Ninon made the Marquis understand that love is a war. He must plan his every step. He must execute those plans carefully. Ninon instructed the Marquis to start over, that he must do it to appear distinct and indifferent towards the Countess. When the Marquis sees the Countess again, he would treat her as a friend. The Countess will think that he only wants friendship. This would make her confused. The next step is to make her feel jealous. The Marquis should walk around Paris surrounded with beautiful girls. The Countess would not only be jealous, she would think that a lot of women desire the Marquis. Ninon explained to him that a woman wants a man who is also wanted by others. It would be more satisfying to win his love. After making the Countess confused and jealous, that will be the best time to seduce her. The Marquis must change his routine. His moves must be unpredictable. He must not come to the event where the Countess expects to see him. He must show up in salons he has never been to before, salons that the Countess often visit. It took weeks for the Marquis to execute all these steps. Ninon took note of the Marquis' progress. She learned everything from her spies. The Countess now laughs at the Marquis' jokes. She listens carefully when he tells her stories. Ninon heard that the beautiful Countess is now curious about Marquis. She would ask questions about him. At social affairs, she would often stare at the Marquis. Ninan was sure that the Countess is already falling for Marquis. In a few months, she would become his. But something wrong happened. The Marquis visited Countess in her home. Suddenly, he became desperate. He acted against Ninan's advices. The Marquis took the Countess' hand. He told her at once that he loves her. The Countess was shocked. She politely excused herself. As the night went on, the beautiful girl avoided his glances. She did not tell goodnight and see him leave. When the Marquis visited again, he was told that the Countess was away. After a few more visits, the Countess let him in. But everything has changed. She became uncomfortable and awkward towards the Marquis. That became the end of his love story. Most people say what they are feeling all the time. They tell their opinions openly. They reveal their intentions and plans at once. It is natural and easy for us to do as humans. Limiting what you reveal and stay takes efforts. Moreover, many of us believe that honesty is a sign of good nature. It will win the hearts of everyone. But sometimes it is not true. Honesty is actually a blunt instrument, which bodies more than it cuts. When you are very honest, it makes you predictable. People will not see it fit to fear or respect you. To become powerful, it is better to set honesty aside. Learn the art of hiding your true intentions. This will give you an advantage. People instantly believe what they hear and what they see. Pretend that you have your eyes for something else. This will make you free to work on your real goal. In seduction, set up conflicting signals, such as desire and indifference. And you not only throw them off the scent, you inflame their desire to possess you. Always say less than necessary. It was a custom in the French court to discuss the state issues first before presenting to the king. The ministers and nobles would debate and argue with each other for days. Then they must choose 2 representatives. Each of them would explain one point of view to Louis XIV. The king would decide on the best resolution of the state issues. The representatives finally came to him. They relayed the issue and shared to him the 2 best possible tactics. Louis XIV just listens. His face reveals nothing. When they are done talking, he would just say, "I shall see." Then he would already take his leave. Louis XIV will never talk on the subject again. The courtmen would only know his decision after a few weeks. That is when Louis XV has already acted on the state issues. By being silent, no one knows what he's thinking. No one can predict his next move. His silence also causes the men around him to just talk. Instead of knowing his thoughts, they would end up revealing their own selves. Later on, Louis XIV will use that information against them. As a result, Louis XIV became powerful and feared. He can take anyone off balance. He knows what makes them tick. Silence became Louis XIV's strongest defense. Limiting your words will not only make you powerful, it will also prevent you from making mistakes. When you don't think first of what you say, you may say something wrong or foolish. It can also cause you danger. In the year 1825, there was a rebellion in Russia. Nicholas I was newly crowned as the new Tsar. But the liberals wanted change. They wanted Russia to become a modern country. They wanted its economy and government to keep up with the other European countries. Nicholas I ultimately crushed in the rebellion in the Decembrist uprising. He ordered the rebellion leader, Kondratry Ryleyev, to be hanged and executed. Ryleyev stood on the platform with a rope upon his neck. The doors at his feet opened. But instead of choking, Ryleyev's rope broke. He fell to the ground. At times like these, The people think that it will be the will of the heavens. Usually the man to be hanged will be given a pardon. Ryleyev stood up. He shouted in front of the crowd, "You see, in Russia they don't know how to do anything properly, not even how to make a rope." The messenger quickly went to the Khazar to tell him what happened. Nicholas I was disappointed that Ryle's hanging failed, but he went on to sign his pardon papers. Before doing so, he asked the messenger, "Did Ryleyev say anything after this miracle?" To which the messenger answered, "Sir, he said that Russia they don't even know how to make a rope." Nicholas I then tore the pardon papers. He commanded, "In that case, let us prove the contrary." That very next morning, Ryleyev was brought to the gallows again. Unfortunately for him, the rope did not break anymore. Once you have said something, you can never take your words back. Be careful of what you say. You might offend other people. You might say words that can be harmful to you. As the saying goes, less talk, less mistakes. Conclusion. These are only a few advices that you can apply in your daily life. They are not only useful to those who want power, you can use these laws to have a better relationship with others. Never outshine your master can also be interpreted as being grateful to people who help you. Use your enemies can also be understood as forgiving those who have offended you or giving people a second chance. Concealing your intentions may teach you to be humble and unassuming. Saying a few words will make you become a better person. You may not be a politician, but surely you will learn something from this book. So I hope you like the summary as well as efforts behind it. And if you feel we were able to create valuable content for you, Jai Hind!